Road salt is polluting the environment around us. It is essential that we find a new way to address its negative environmental impacts on the freshwater systems in the Greater Toronto Area. Road salts are currently one of the most effective methods for de-icing surfaces. However, the volume of salts used must be decreased substantially, or other methods must be used. Once ice is melted by salt, the melted water carries chloride into the freshwater systems. Chloride is toxic to most freshwater life, and concentrations are approaching dangerous levels in water bodies surrounding the Greater Toronto Area. The use of salt is not only bad for the environment, but it also damages infrastructure, increases the rate of corrosion of metals, and wears away bridges, buildings, and cars.
Many people are not aware of how they can reduce the amount of road salt they use, or the effects that road salt pollution has on freshwater systems surrounding them. Currently, a perfect solution for de-icing doesn't exist, and the solutions that do exist are often expensive. The Ice Safety System Ontario is a free application for smartphones designed to provide information on the best practices of proper ice management. A large problem with residential and commercial road salt use is the one of knowledge. People don't know about the environmental impact of road salt. The goal of the ISO app is to provide a residential and commercial way to learn about alternative ice management solutions, as well as guide users on how to best use road salt. And it has notifications.
The app would have simple notifications, as well as widgets to display current weather events and ice management tips for upcoming conditions. When the user enters the app, they will be greeted with a main page that contains the weather forecast for their area, a section that displays current updates and conditions, and an informative quiz. The user can navigate to different sections of the app through the navigation bar in the top right corner. Through the navigation bar, there would be access to de-icing best practices, events and updates, the weather forecast, an educational section, winter attire information, and a contact or feedback section. The weather forecast keeps users informed and promotes planning and preparedness to keep driveways, roads, and parking areas in ideal conditions. De-icing best practices would inform users on the proper amount of de-icing material to use. The app offers multiple ways to input dimensions to determine the ideal amount of material that should be used. It would also recommend the amount of material to use based on the current conditions. Both suggestions would help limit the amount of unnecessary salt being used. The app can also recommend the best de-icing practices for commercial use, taking dimensions for larger parking areas and lots, and then recommend the amount and type of materials used, similar to what the app might suggest to a homeowner, but tailored to the needs of a larger scale operation. Events and updates provide alerts to events like webinars, meetings, and legislation discussion. There would also be updates about recommended practices like using winter tires. In the education section, users can find information on an assortment of topics related to road salting, covering things like environmental impacts, infrastructure damage, de-icing methods, informative quizzes, and information from the Toronto and Region Conservation Authority. Finally, the ISSO app allows each user to customize their own experience, change their preferences for de-icing practices, and select what notifications they want to receive and how often.
There were limitations in testing and prototyping because of time and resource constraints. In the future, the de-icing best practice recommendations will be tested to be sure they are effective, and a more diligent residential and commercial survey will be done. The app is based on extensive research, so additional testing will be completed quickly, and the app can be ready for implementation as early as the fall of 2022.
A lifecycle analysis of the ISO app established that even for a 100% adoption rate, the greenhouse gas emissions of the app are negligible compared to those of road salt. A cost-benefit analysis showed that even a small early adoption rate in the first year will reduce the environmental impacts of road salt long-term. It will slow the rate of increasing chloride and sodium concentrations in freshwater systems and reduce their impacts on aquatic biodiversity. In addition, many socioeconomic benefits of the app were found, such as mitigating the damage of road salt on personal property and infrastructure. The ISO's development and maintenance costs will be provincially funded. The cost represents a small percent of the Ontario government's total spending, so it will be easily integrated into the existing budget. To test the app, the team surveyed residents and ice management companies in the GTA and received positive feedback. All of the feedback from testing was used to design the medium fidelity ISO prototype. The app shows amazing potential. All residents tested found the app visually appealing, and the majority of those surveyed said that they would be interested in using the app. Companies and residents in the GTA were excited about the education section, with a near 100% approval rate.
The Isso app allows residents of the GTA the opportunity to take ice management into their own hands and maintain healthy waterways in the region. The Isso app will be available by fall 2022 for free in all major app stores.